Anthony Bear is the man who gave us so much. From telling us about his magic 3,000 mile high sun, to measuring the temperature of a globe in his garage, and claiming that the River Nile would not work on a globe. But today he focuses on the recent solar eclipse. And apparently he can prove that it does not work on the heliocentric model. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, a big thank you to the sponsors of this video, Beer 52. How does a free case of beer for Father's Day sound? Well, that's what my good friends at Beer 52 are offering. To enjoy a free case of 8 exclusive craft beers, simply go to beer52/SimonDan and cover the meagre postage cost of £5.95 to claim your free case. Now, Beer 52 is the biggest beer club in the world. Each month they send their members a case of beer from renowned and undiscovered microbreweries of the UK and beyond. And this summer they're taking you on a whirlwind tour of the world. Their Beers of the World collection features 8 unique beers from 8 different countries, including New Zealand, the Netherlands and Spain. South Korea's highest rated brewery, The Booth, offer up an exceptional hop-driven pale ale, bursting with citrus and stone fruit aromas, alongside a multi-layered body and soft mouthfeel that will keep you coming back for more. Also included is Spain's Basqueland, who have fast become one of the best loved craft beer brands in Europe. You'll be sure to love their Robusto Combusto Porter. Expect a straightforward coffee porter with a lively bitter aftertaste and hints of caramel. And if dark beer's not your thing, you can choose the light only case. Also included is the award-winning Ferment magazine and a couple of tasty snacks. Even if after all of that you're still unsatisfied, you can simply pause or cancel at any time. So you can go to beer52/SimonDan to claim your free case now. That's beer52.com/SimonDan. Right, on with today's video and the incredible Anthony Bear. He wants to tell us that the recent solar eclipse would not work on a globe. Will he have good evidence for this, or will it be more colossal misunderstanding? Let's find out.
Okay, so on April 8th, there's going to be a total eclipse. The moon and the sun are going to line up and make a shadow on the earth. Now the shadow is going to cruise across the United States, something like this. The shadow should be approximately 115 miles across. Now let me show you why this is not possible on the heliocentric globe model as we are shown.
Now, don't get me wrong here, Anthony, I do like your demonstrations, but your track record is not great, is it? Remember that time that you measured the temperature of your globe in your garage with an infrared thermometer to try and prove that the sun wasn't real?
Here's the best way to do it. Let's make a model. Okay, so here's our 6-inch globe, and I got it tilted like it would be 3 months after the winter solstice. Now, down here, 15 feet down, or 30 Earth lengths away, is a golf ball. Now, the Earth is a 6-inch globe, which is 8,000 miles across, and the moon is a quarter of the size, which would be 2,000 miles, which would be roughly 1.5 inches, which is real close to a golf ball size.
I'm a little bit in shock here. Do we have some sort of scale model built by a flat earther? Let's not get too excited, everyone. This could still be wrong, but wow. Great effort, Anthony. Kudos to you.
Right here. And down here is our sun. All right, so now let's cruise down here and see what our eclipse looks like. Okay, so here's our eclipse. Now the sun is prospectively the same size as the moon. So here's our eclipse right here. And then the moon's going to cruise on by and the sun's going to pop out again.
Okay, yes, the moon is roughly the same size as the sun in the sky. But the sun is not actually the same size as the moon, which is what appears to have happened in your model there. You need a significantly larger sun, my friend.
Let me zoom in and show you a little better this time. Okay, here's our eclipse. And then the moon is going to cruise on by again. Now let's compare our eclipse to some real eclipses. Looks like a match.
Don't get ahead of yourself too much, Anthony. This does look a bit like a real eclipse, I will admit. However, getting it to look the same from the Earth's perspective and getting the same effects of the eclipse on the surface of the Earth are two very different things.
So let's go back to our model. There's our moon, there's the sun down there. Now let's see what the shadow looks like out on the Earth. Shut the light off. Now we're going to come down here and check it out. Now the shadow is way too big. It's covering the whole United States, all of Mexico, half of Canada. The shadow should only be 100 miles wide.
Yes, and your problem lies with the sun. It's not large enough. If you had a larger light source, you would produce both an umbra and a penumbra. And I bet you your umbra would be closer to the 100 miles wide than it is now on your 6-inch globe. In fact, you can just about see a tiny penumbra around the edge of the shadow. This is not what happens with an actual eclipse. The penumbral shadow can be up to 600 miles wide.
It should look something like this. Now, why is the shadow way off?
Because your sun is too small.
Let's see what NASA has to say about it. Now here's their model of what's going on. Now they're saying that the sun is way bigger than the moon and it's making an umbra penumbra.
Bingo.
So it casts a tiny little shadow on the Earth. Now let me show you a real life example of this model. Here's somebody, I think he's trying to create an umbra penumbra, but he's casting a shadow smaller than the object, so we'll give him some credit.
That little clip right there is one of the most honest things I've ever heard a flat earther say. And it's why I've got a little soft spot for Anthony. Most flat earthers will say, without any reservation, that you cannot get a shadow smaller than the object casting it. Anthony has seen the evidence that you can, and he's given the person doing it credit. Love him.
And let me show you another one after this one.
This eclipse stick is a scale model of the Earth-Moon system such that the model Earth has a radius of 1.5 inches. The Earth-Moon distance in the model is at the shorter end of its range of values. Using this to demonstrate a total lunar eclipse, we can see that
here she's demonstrating a lunar eclipse. That's not what we're talking about. And here on the solar eclipse, she's very vague.
Demonstrating a solar eclipse allows us to see that the shadow of the moon on the Earth is pretty small.
That is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and I want to make one. Saturday session project for sure.
Only those in the umbra of the moon shadow, the gray swatch from Oregon to South Carolina, could see a total solar eclipse. Others, not in the path of totality, will see a partial solar eclipse if they're in the penumbra, or no eclipse at all if they're not in the shadow of the moon.
So here's her solar eclipse model, and it's super vague. It really doesn't even show you how they got it, how they did it.
Really? There's an Earth and a moon, distance and size to scale, on a pole. They lined it up with the sun and that cast a shadow. It's not hard to see what's going on here.
But let me show you what they're not showing you. So I have a roll of tape laying around. Let's cast a shadow with it. So let's jump back here and try to cast a umbra penumbra. Okay, so my light is wider than the roll of tape. See that? Now we're going to lock it here and try to cast the umbra penumbra. Okay, so we got our light. Here's our tape casting the shadow. And we have our umbra penumbra right here.
Is Anthony working for us or against us here?
Okay, now let's see what it looks like prospectively from here. Okay, so here's our eclipse from back here. You see how the light sticks out on either side? And that's how you get your umbra penumbra.
Yes, but it's not to scale, is it? I guarantee you that if you move that light back so it's the same size as the tape from your camera's perspective, you will still get a penumbra.
Let's put our eclipse and our shadow side by side so you can see what's going on. Okay, so notice how on the eclipse you can see light on each side of the tape. And that's what causes the umbra penumbra right here. The skinny part is smaller than the object that's casting it. Now let's look at the eclipse on the top and the bottom. There is no extra light hanging past the tape. So there is no umbra penumbra on the up and down side of it.
In other words, in order to have an umbra penumbra, you have to have a light that's prospectively larger than the object that's casting the shadow.
Incorrect, Anthony. You only need a light source that is larger than the object.
So in order to have an umbra penumbra, prospectively, the sun would have to be bigger than the moon. Well, if the sun was bigger than the moon, you wouldn't have a total eclipse. That means the umbra penumbra is not possible, and they're obviously incorrect about the size of the moon. I know what some of you are going to say. Look at this drawing. Look how big the sun is. Look how small the moon is. Obviously, that's how it works. Well, real life isn't a drawing. If something's prospectively smaller, then it's actually smaller.
No, that is not the case. The object doesn't physically shrink, Anthony. You know what? I do want to give him some credit here. He is trying to investigate and experiment. He's just coming up with wrong conclusions. And unfortunately, those conclusions are laced with a preconception that's been put in his head. I still firmly believe that Anthony Bear can be converted back to Team Globe. I just need to figure out a way to do it. There is hope with this one. Well, there we go, another Flat Earth Friday, all done and debunked. What do we think, everyone? Is Anthony for turning back to Team Globe, or is he a lost cause? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching today, it truly is appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Hitting that thumbs up button too would help immensely, and sharing it would help even more. Thank you very much. Just enough time to once again thank Beer 52 for sponsoring today's video. Remember, to get your free case of beer, all you got to do is go to beer52.com/SimonDan, pay the postage fee, and the case is all yours. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another Saturday session. See you then.